Hello and welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. My name is Dean Jackson, and today we're talking with Shane Melanson from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And Shane is a commercial real estate agent, and he is focusing. We went through a little process here to hone in on a specific target audience for him and outlined a whole plan for how to become the mayor of that category in Calgary. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. I always love to talk about real estate, and there's so many parallels between the commercial side of real estate and all the residential things that are going on. So I think you'll see that happen here. And Shane, I think, has a really good action plan that he'll be able to put into place. So enjoy.
Shane Melanson.
Dean Jackson.
How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's Friday. It's evil scheme hatching day. My favorite. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Calgary, Alberta.
Calgary, Alberta. All right. There we go. Well, I'm in Winter Haven. I'm in Florida. It's absolutely perfect today. It's one of those room temperature with a breeze and not a cloud in sight days. So
yes,
it's all very exciting. So we're recording right now. We've got the whole hour here to hatch some evil schemes for you. So kind of bring me up to speed, and then we can jump off in a direction that see what kind of focus we can have here for the call.
Okay, that sounds great. So I guess just a bit of background. Right now, I do two things. One, selling commercial real estate, primarily investment sales. So that would mean income-producing properties here in Calgary. And I would say over the past 8 years, I've been doing this, and I've actually worked in the U.S., but I try to focus a little more closer to home.
Sure.
With three little munchkins, I prefer to travel less if I can. And I also do kind of one or two syndications a year where I'll raise money from a group of high net worth individuals and friends, and they'll put their money in, and either it'll be a development or some sort of a value add where, I can kind of utilize my skills to make them money and hopefully myself as well. So, so those are the two kind of primary businesses that I'm in. The syndication is certainly where my passion is. But what I've realized is that if I'm solely focused on just syndicating deals, and that's my only source of revenue, then, the temptation is to do deals that are maybe more risky or...
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're just thinking, okay, I got to do something.
Force deals. Yeah.
And so the good news is that your commercial, the real estate sales, you're focused and you find opportunities through that in a way, right? Too, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you sell when you say to income producing properties? Are you selling to investors or to end users, like of industrial buildings or?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I would say primarily I've worked with like it could be REITs or high net worth individuals that are purchasing properties with the intention of some guys, like we just put a property under contract and they'll be actually tearing it down and then redeveloping it. But generally speaking, I've focused more on apartment buildings industrial buildings and some retail. And so there'll be different components to each property.
Gotcha. Okay. And, each of those markets are individual kind of markets. The good news is what I see immediately is that there seems like an opportunity to do in parallel both of them, and anything that you're doing to improve the real estate, the brokerage side is going to bring you better opportunities on the syndication side, both getting to meet different investors and different seeing all these different opportunities. So that's kind of a cool thing. If you mentioned a lot of things like apartment buildings, is that kind of your primary focus? Would that be something that or is it more commercial properties?
Yeah, so I'll break it up into two. So on the brokerage side, I have ideally I would have liked to have focused on apartment buildings. The challenge is, and I've followed you for quite some time, and when I started to really drill down on the number of sales that occur for apartment buildings here in Calgary and surrounding area, it's relatively low. The turnover is less, and I would say that of the universe of rentals in Calgary is about 35,000, of which 15 to 18,000 are controlled by 6 groups that predominantly do not sell. So when they buy, they hold. So I've I decided that it would probably make more sense to go into an asset class where there was a lot higher turnover and the ability to kind of utilize some of the marketing skills that I've kind of acquired over the course of investing and learning from yourself, guys. So industrial, even though it's not sexy, it has tremendous turnover. You've got a lot of various owner users that generally have to scale up or scale down. They sometimes buy, sometimes build the suits. So there's a lot of potential for revenue in that asset class. So that's answer number one. And then on the syndication side, I have an apartment building with a group of investors, and I would like to do more of that. But I'm also kind of cognizant of where various assets are in terms of, right now apartments are trading at 5 caps, and so it's really difficult to justify buying. And so we're doing an industrial business condo development right now, and so I can be a little more flexible. Although I think in the long run, I would prefer to buy value add apartment buildings, but I'm not going to sit on my hands forever. If there's an opportunity and I have the skill set to be able to kind of execute on it, then I can vary a little bit.
Sure. Is Calgary the place for you? Is that your 20-year vision here, or what's your geographic kind of aspiration?
So my wife is from here and her family. So I would say that we are probably in with the kids in school. I don't envision moving anytime soon.
Perfect.
But
that's good to know. And the reason I ask that is just for that, that you're in a business, real estate, that's a long-term business. There's a lot of equity that you can build in a relationship equity, knowledge equity, market equity, experience equity in a regional area there. So if you're taking even Alberta, as the example there, there's a lot of value in knowing that that's where you're going to be. A lot of times people are waffling on their geography, right? So it's hard to plant the roots of a giant oak tree if you're a tumbleweed that wants to kind of roll all over town or all over, not settled. So that's encouraging that you're kind of settled in Calgary, because just the way it is, it's not, you're in a analog physical world, it's not a digitized thing where it's you're going to be around there. So that's all good to kind of look around the context of everything here. I had a question about the apartments. You said that there's about 35,000 units in Calgary, of which basically half of them are controlled by 6 people, 6 groups. Do they control the top end of the multi units, or are they spread all out? Like in the 35,000 units that are not owned by those 6, are they 4, 6, 12 plexes kind of thing versus the 100, 200, 300 unit?
Well, so it's interesting. In Calgary, there's not a lot. So a few things. There hasn't been a lot of purpose-built rentals in Calgary in the past 10 to 15 years. So really the supply, if anything, has actually shrunk. Let's say in 2008, there was probably closer to 40,000. But then what happened is condo developers started to buy them and convert them, and so the universe of actual rentals shrunk. What we're seeing now is there is a few builders that are now creating larger purpose-built rentals. So there's an opportunity, I would say, kind of in the suburban market and even in kind of the downtown and Beltline. There's some high rises being built and sold. But I think to your question, I would say, the boardwalks and the main streets and these kind of larger companies, they generally have owned these assets for quite some time. And I would say that their product is probably, 1970s to 1980s vintage.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Is there a supply opportunity? Like, how are the vacancy rates? And
well, yeah. So there's if you looked at it and you said, okay, well, there's only 35,000 apartments here in Calgary for rent.
Yeah.
And then you look at Edmonton, which is a smaller market, and they've got closer to 70,000, so double. Vacancies are very similar. So what's happened is there's just a really large shadow market where investors, I guess it would be generally investors, have put their properties into the rental pool. So vacancy is still, it's actually crept up quite a bit since oil really took a slide in 2015.
Sure. Yep.
So we're at about 7% vacancy. I still believe that there is an opportunity for rentals. Certainly in the Beltline and maybe even in downtown. The challenge there is just land is quite expensive. So to make the numbers work, it's you've got to have a very low cost of capital. But in the suburban areas, there's some guys that are doing purpose-built rentals and have been quite successful.
Okay. So and then what about on the industrial side? What do you describe what's going on there? What the opportunity is?
I don't have, I guess, as long an experience or as much experience in industrial, but what I'm seeing is, and over the past 2 years of doing it now, is there's a lot more interest in business owners owning their own industrial space. And so industrial condos, call it 2,000 to 10,000 square feet, is growing in popularity. I personally feel that there's there's no one, quote unquote, that's in the market that is kind of hanging their hat out as the industrial condo expert.
Okay.
Something that I'm working towards because I've got some experience with it, and
Sure.
I'd mentioned I'm kind of developing one myself, so I understand, the zoning considerations, the construction costs, and so it's I find it to be quite fascinating and pretty exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's focus on that, because that seems like there's you've got some passion around that. The apartment issue seems very like institutionalized kind of to me, the way you're describing it. It seems like you've got a more available market for this, for the industrial stuff. How many units would there be in Calgary that way? How many of these 2 to 10,000 square foot units would there be?
Well, I'd have to look at. I don't have that off the top of my head. What I do know is that in Calgary, there's about 130 million square feet of industrial space.
Sure. Yeah.
And to compare that to Vancouver, which is a much larger market, there's say 180 million square feet. And then when you look at the condo market, which would be actually for sale, there was about 400,000 square feet of industrial condos that traded in 2000 and I guess the last 12 months, versus Vancouver, which had about 4 times that. So what it tells me is there is a market. There's certainly different there's certain kind of what am I trying to say, like ethnic backgrounds that prefer to own versus rent. And so I think that there's just going to be a continued growing demand, especially when you look at the owning versus leasing. The argument is more and more compelling with low interest rates. Right.
Gotcha. And then when you get up into this next level here, is there kind of a vibrant market in that 10 to 30,000 square foot, like standalones?
Yes, there is. I would say that there's a fair amount of owner users that look at those type of properties, and then you'll have local investors that buy them as well and do. For a little while there was a big push on sale leasebacks where the owner would sell out to private equity firms, and then they would kind of lease it back at inflated rents. But seeing less of that now, I think it is more owner users controlling their own destiny, and then just kind of local investors that will buy, and they like industrial because it's you're dealing with one tenant on a 5-year lease.
Yeah, exactly, and sustainable. So that's kind of exciting. I look at that in a lot of ways with a lot of similarities to the residential market in terms of, I look at those, 10 to 30,000 square feet as the 4-bedroom, luxury home of a residential market, and the same kind of market making opportunity is available, kind of cornering the market on those. When you look at those standalones, or you look at the condos, and let's start with the condos, because it seems like seems like there's quite a few opportunities there. Would you say that there are 1,000 or more of those condo units, or how many would you guess that there are?
I would not peg it at 1,000. I would peg it. I'm just kind of doing some math here. So, there's probably less than 500.
Okay, perfect. So there's the thing that you know that those are there. Then what kind of turnover is there on those condos?
I'm going to have to kind of guess a little bit, but I would say
Right.
that generally I would say you're kind of 5 years, because as businesses grow, they may need more space, or you know, the unfortunate reality is some businesses just go out of business, and so they're forced to sell. I mean, I'm kind of dealing with that situation right now. So with the clients. So yeah, I would say on average it's probably in that 5-year range.
Okay, so that means that there might be 100 that, or 50 that might sell somewhere in that range over the course of the year.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get to a number of the total yield here. You know, if we were to say this is the market, if we went that way, there's 50, and what's the average price or median price? Yeah,
I would say you're probably. I used it on the larger end at kind of 10,000 feet, but I'm noticing guys doing a bit smaller. But let's just say, for easy math, there would be it would be about a $2 million purchase price.
Okay. And so when you look at that 50 times 2 million, you're at 100 million in volume. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that might be high, but
okay.
I mean, there's a lot of industrial that trades on an annual basis. So it's if that included some kind of standalone buildings, that would be fine.
Okay. And what kind of what would be your how much you would make on one side of a transaction like that? Yeah.
I would say 3% is like generally as you get on the smaller commercial properties, you're able to kind of push your rate. So 3%.
Okay. So that's about what we're looking here for, about $3 million just on the listing side, commissions of those, right?
Yep.
And so then potentially another $3 million. But when you look at just the listing side, that $3 million is about the range that we're looking for, that somebody made that much money over the last 12 months in that segment of the market. Is there anybody that kind of dominates that category, or is it kind of an open?
I wouldn't say that there's anybody that dominates it. What I would say is on
I nominate you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. I mean, let's just appoint you to the mayor of that position, right? Because you're uniquely qualified for it. There's never going to be a committee that gets together to appoint anybody else. So I'm going to go ahead and appoint you now.
Okay.
Okay. So when we look at that, now it becomes a math game, right? Now it becomes that there are 500, and you'll check the numbers on these because there might be 700. Who knows? That there's 500 of these industrial condo owners, and they're visible prospects, right? Because you can identify where they are. You look at them on an aerial map. There they are. This is who owns them according to tax records, or however you get that information there. And now it becomes almost exactly like what we do on the residential side, right? Like, so we offer for our residential realtors I have a program called Getting Listings, and that what we do is mail postcards to all of the lakefront homes in Winter Haven offering the October 2017 report on Winter Haven lakefront house prices. So the same thing would apply over here, where we would offer a report on the October 2017 report on Calgary industrial condo prices. And so when you mail that to as a postcard to the 500 or 700 owners there, and by the way, the ROI for you on this with that price range is going to be pretty phenomenal, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. So you look at it that you're sending that, anybody who's thinking about selling their condo is going to want to know that information, right? Because the first thought that they have is always, well, what's our place worth, right? And it may be that they're going out of business and they need to sell, or they're they're growing and they need more space, or they're getting to a point where they want to build a standalone building, right? They've made it. They're going to go out into a detached building.
Yes.
But finding them that way, finding that category first, offering that information. If you just every month mailed a postcard offering the November 2017 report on Calgary industrial condo prices and the December report and the January report, and you do that every month, that's going to bring the people who are entering the process of thinking about selling their building to the surface here, right? They're going to raise their hand. Now you've got this opportunity that who some of these 50 people who are going, the next 12 months, 50 of these people are potentially going to sell. And if you know them ahead of time, that gives you an advantage here, right? Now, part of what you also get to do is be a market maker on this, so that while you've got the visible prospect of a industrial condo owner, you also now need to find the invisible prospect of somebody who's looking for a condo, right? So somebody who's looking to start a business or to buy one. Now, the good news is that some of them may be renting some of these units right now, and they may be looking to buy one of their own, or it may be a startup outside of that, But the opportunity that you have is, where would somebody who's looking for a condo look in Calgary? Where would they focus? What would they be doing?
That's a great question, because in commercial real estate, there's really no central, like in residential, you go to MLS, and that's where all the properties are. So,
sure.
I've done a fair amount of kind of keyword research to find out what people are typing in that might be searching online.
Good.
And so I think that there's an opportunity to drive people with pretty qualified Google pay-per-click, for example.
Yeah, of course.
The other way is fairly old school, and that's where signage comes in. But I would say that a lot of these guys, if they're kind of driving into work, they'll just see signs, and often they'll call, almost similar to residential, where you see bus benches, or you see one guy in a community that seems to have the most signs. I think that they generally get the phone calls, right? So so listings beget buyers, essentially.
Yes, of course they do. That's the same in residential. I mean, that's you're It's exactly the same.
Right.
Are there, is there a Calgary business Times or business newspaper, business journal that where people would advertise commercial properties? Like where would, if you had a listing, you advertise that listing?
Often the way that it is done in commercial is, most guys would send it out to their database. So kind of step one, the first 14 to 21 days of a listing, you would send it out to your quote unquote database that you think would be investors or buyers. And then beyond that, you would send it out to the brokerage community. And so in my database, I might have 90 industrial brokers or guys that would be focused on industrial real estate. That would be how I would reach out. And then each one of those guys might have 50 or 100 buyers that they might talk to. So
I got you. So, what I would be looking for is a way and a place to put, to offer and put together at the same time a guide to Calgary industrial condo prices, to show what's available and what the options are for somebody thinking about the category, right? Looking to find category buyers, not to necessarily wait until you have a listing to find the buyer, right? Because if you can, and that's the way we would do it on the real estate side, we'll run in Homes magazines a ad offering the guide to lakefront house prices, So the good news is that it doesn't sound like anybody's really doing anything like that in your market, which is an advantage because you've got kind of clean runway there,
Yeah, and I was actually I'm curious how you would maybe think about this. They're predominantly business owners, and so I don't know if, let's say, they're going to the Chamber of Commerce or if there's other maybe more industrial style. I haven't done enough research to kind of look into this per se, but I'm wondering if they would be reading trade publications, for example, that are, that they might be, electricians or general contractors or something along those lines where those would be kind of your typical buyers of these smaller bay industrial condos. And if you could get in front of them at that point, then,
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's really going to be about, is finding how can you kind of identify those. Now, some of them, if you're mailing the postcards to the owners of the condos, which may be at a different location than the, considers difference, that would be owner users versus owner investors, right? So you're going to the ones that are investor owned at the address that would be the tax record, who actually owns the building. And on the other side, you've got the ones that are user owned, and you're mailing right to them. You're mailing the postcard, but a good source of buyers for the units would potentially be the businesses who are renting one of these units right now.
Right.
And so having that differentiation, right, knowing which of these is owner users and which of them are investors, so that the businesses that are renting the space versus the businesses that own the space. And you can target the renters differently than the owners.
And so when you target the renters, for example,
Yep.
is this where you would use the guide to industrial condo
Yes.
prices? That would be
Absolutely.
the offer that you would make? Right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, because that's the thing that they want to know too, right? They're wondering, well, wonder how much these things sell for and what's involved in buying one. What's the market for financing these? Is it fairly easy to finance them? How
It's actually quite incredible. The BDC has done a few loans with me, and they will do up to 100% financing.
Perfect.
And they'll actually finance pretty much the entire build out as well. So, if a company has a strong balance sheet, and I've actually got that for clients. So that's I guess zero down industrial real estate.
Right. So there's an opportunity right there that now we create some other opportunities here, right? Where if you're looking at this, both the information, the guide, but also then giving somebody an opportunity of what this actually looks like, that if they can get an industrial condo with zero down and whatever that would cost per month, it might be less than what they're actually paying to rent the unit, similar,
Yeah.
So it's no different. A first-time home buyer is not much different than a first-time industrial condo buyer because they're like the same kind of thing. They don't know the process. They've never been through it. Their business is just getting to the point where it's got legs. It's successful. They've got some extra money. It's going to make sense that maybe the next step in our journey is to buy, but they don't know the process, and they maybe think that they got to have 25% down or something, right? They may be thinking we've got to have $500,000 to buy a building or to buy a condo.
And I'm curious, like, would you look at doing because my experience with industrial buyers is you're absolutely right. I hadn't even really kind of thought that through, but they really don't have an appreciation for purchasing commercial real estate, and so it's quite daunting. And I'm wondering if like whether it was a webinar or some sort of a presentation to
workshop, a luncheon,
a workshop,
Like there's all the thing is that you're looking at it, that laying it out. We've gone through the profit activators here, kind of in the background, that we've selected a single target market of these 2 to 10,000 square feet condos. We've got in Profit Activator 2 a way for them to raise their hand, both the buyers and the sellers, right? Offering the report on the house or industrial condo prices. And then in Profit Activator 3, which is where we are now, it would be about educating and motivating people, right? So each month, when you would send out the Calgary industrial condo report that would have all of the updates of what's been going on in the market, along with some educational information about what kinds of things people would need to know about selling their industrial condo or buying their industrial condo. And telling stories of other case studies in a way, right? Like here's how it works, or here's who's on the move kind of thing, right? Because everybody loves to be announced and acknowledged, and that's kind of a step that if somebody's expanding, they've gone from their garage or their workshop to renting a small space, and now they're in a 10,000 square foot industrial condo of their own, that's a milestone in the business, right? Everybody loves to be acknowledged like that. Everybody kind of sees how that's going. And within the pages of you telling that story, another business that's renting a 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 square foot space sees themselves in it. And when you're now showing that they can do this with zero down and showing what the monthly payments would be, they kind of get inspired by that and have an opportunity, So that's all very education based, and you becoming the voice of all of this, right? You've appointed yourself to the position of mayor of the industrial condo world in Calgary. You become the voice, right? The information leader in that. And then in Profit Activator 4, it's about what are the offers that are going to let people, step out of that, that on to the next step. It could be what we do on the residential side is we do a daily tour of homes. At 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock. We do a home buyer workshop at the library on the first and third Thursdays of the month. And we do a home loan report, to find out what the best home loans available are. So when you start to parallel that and take that over to the industrial condo side, when we're talking about the buyers, we might look at doing a industrial condo tour, or doing a workshop where you teach people that process. Maybe you've got some neutral kind of, the library probably wouldn't be the right tone for the space for that, but maybe it's at the chamber or somewhere where it's would be a educational kind of environment, not like a sales office in somebody's thing, but a neutral kind of space. And then offering the free industrial condo loan report to show the different options available for zero down, or because if you've got a program that can get somebody a zero down loan, it's like that's the jackpot for them, right? Everybody is very excited about that. It's funny that you say that. Like, I'm just now, in between my podcasts there, I was just editing and reading. I had a writer put together a guide for a first-time buyer program that I'm putting together with zero down. So it's really that's a good place to start,
Right. Okay.
And then everything that you're doing there can model be also modeled then in the next level up of the 10 to 30,000 square foot standalone buildings, that you look at those as freestanding industrial building prices, and that same model stands true, but you're speaking to the right audience,
Yeah. I like that. Okay. Now, for the sellers, what offers would you have them take on the next step, for example?
So let's see if we can craft some, because on the residential side, we offer the pinpoint price analysis to show what their house may sell for in today's market. We offer a room by room review, which shows people everything to do and not do to get their house ready to sell. And we offer our silent market, where we say we may be able to sell your house in as little as 24 hours without even putting it on the market. And that's what you really have the opportunity to do when you're doing this kind of category market maker approach, right? Like you don't need their listing to find buyers. If you can figure out how to find industrial condo buyers without their listing, that's a cool thing. And it may be, even when you look at it, that you may talk about the category. I mentioned on one of the podcasts, I did some work with a company in Canada that does talent recruiting. They do IT contractors, and we in Ottawa. What's the big company? Nortel. Is that the big company? Yep. Okay, so at the time, Nortel was one of like the big companies in Ottawa. They probably still are, I guess, right now. That they we would run in the business journal or the tech journal the ads that looked like news articles that said Unix contractors commanding $55 per hour as an example of one of these things, right? Like it looks like a news thing. Our audience was the people who are Unix programmers, but are employees in a $50,000 a year position, which, if you do the math on, is about $25 an hour. That's how they would calculate out what they get. So they see this, that Unix contractors are commanding $55 an hour. That's twice what I'm making. And so that whole thing would get them to come to a website where they would get updates on Unix contracts that are available. And so when you start thinking about perhaps this opportunity of highlighting as news the fact that the BDC is offering zero down loans for Calgary businesses,
yes,
that's where you're getting people to inquire and moving forward in that way.
Yes. Huh. And it's funny because I'm actually going for lunch with a gentleman at the BDC, and I'm actually now thinking that they will benefit as much as I do from this database, and I may try to.
They may partner with you on it.
Yeah, they have deeper pockets than me do all the payouts and whatnot. So I'll have a conversation with them.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the mechanics of it are, you've got a great little thing there, and it's going to be very low cost. I mean, you look at to send those 500 postcards to the 500 owners, that's not going to be very much at all. When you look at the outcome of that, right? When you look at that, on the line is a $60,000 commission, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you could mail a postcard every week to every one of them. And, that's the way you look at it though, right? Is how long do you mail to get to a point where you are, one transaction is going to pay for this for 5 years, 10 years, forever for you, Because you're talking about maybe it's a $6,000 investment over the course of the year.
Yeah.
And it can be that simple. I mean, it really is that simple.
Yes. This has been very, the way you kind of frame the rollout of this has been extremely helpful. I've been taking notes, and obviously I know you're recording.
The great thing is you're going to hear it completely different. You're going to you've missed a lot of it just because I know what that's like, right? Like you hear me say something and your mind is already thinking like, oh yeah, that, and then you snap back into attention. So you've probably, missed half of it. And so hearing the rest to fill in the blanks is gonna make a big difference. But the music of it is that you've got the makings of a really great sustainable system there, and with a long-term view. I just finished a 4-year case study on our Getting Listings program with one of our realtors in Toronto. And he mailed for 4 years, and we recorded all of the results that he did. So over the 4 years, he spent $50,000 mailing postcards to this group, to the homes in Scarborough. And over that 4 years, he made $543,000. So he got an 11 times return on the money, on the spend. But what was amazing to me was that he mailed for 5 months before he did his first transaction from it. So he mailed September till February, got his first closing in February, which put him into ROI positive by a great margin right away. And he never looked back. I mean, it was then just building. So it really, it cost him about, I think it was $1,800 or $2,200 or something like that to get to that first transaction, where now it was self-funding for the rest of the 4 years. But what was amazing was that in that time between September and February, he went on that there were 15 transactions that happened with people who responded in those first 5 months over the next 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was fascinating to see it all laid out in an infographic where we lagged back the transaction to see when they actually responded. So, 3.5 years later, somebody who responded to the very first mailing in September of 2013 just did a transaction in July of this year.
Wow.
So
they've been on his list for
almost 4 years later, so the equity of that, what you're going to be building is as soon as somebody responds, the equity of what you've got there, is phenomenal. Because you're going to have really the only viable marketplace for these for condos and buyers, right? Like if you're mailing the postcards and you have all these people who've responded, selling your industrial condos, not an impulse. They're not going to wake up and put a for sale sign on the building that same day. It's a process of thinking about that, and then where are we going to go, and all of that. But once they raise their hand, you now know who those people are that are thinking about this. So at the same time, while you're looking for buyers, now you've got the opportunity to, below the surface, match these people up, right? You're the common link. You've got a list of people who are looking to buy, and you've got a list of people who have raised their hand that they might be thinking of selling.
And in industrial or even in commercial real estate, for that matter, I know in residential there's I guess more conflicts of interest when you're double ending deals, but in commercial, it's like well known, accepted. You're dealing with more sophisticated people, and the sellers kind of expect you to be able to find the buyer, if you will. That's really
right.
why they end up going with you, and the the guys that seem to be the most successful are the ones that have the ability to, I guess, be a market maker, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And if every once in a while these people, they respond for the report, and you send that, and then every month you're sending the updated report, and then every once in a while they get a personal message from you saying, "Hey, Tony, I'm showing condos in your complex here, and I've got a buyer who's looking for one. I don't know what your plans are, but I thought I'd check in and see if I could tell them about your place." If they're not ready, they're going to say, "Oh, we're not ready yet," but keep us in mind, or thanks. You're making that impression now that if over the next year or 24 months, you've had 5 or 6 interactions like that, where you're adding all the valuable information to them, you're showing them what's happening, you're evidencing all the success that you're having connecting people with these condos, and you're communicating with them 3 or 4 times that you've got a buyer. When the moment comes that now they're ready, why would they call anybody other than, let's check with Shane first, because he's always got buyers.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I really like this.
I do too. I think it's a winner for you.
So, no, I know that we're nearing the end, and I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah. What did you hear?
Well, I there's one question I want to ask, and
Sure.
if it's big a topic, I understand that.
No, it's okay.
And it's related to, I guess, I've been looking at launching a podcast to kind of develop and relationships with and stay in touch with these business owners, so that there's kind of an ongoing conversation with them. Number one, and number two, it's to me, it's like an easier way to connect with someone versus, on a first call, for example, to discuss on a podcast versus, hey, are you interested in selling your property? Those conversations, they are calls they get quite often. So I'm just curious, your thoughts or any suggestions as it relates to that, or?
No, I think that's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea to kind of highlight the types of, what's going on in Calgary businesses. You need to elevate your position in the community as an impresario. You're a guy who is involved in the business community, not as a salesperson, but as a valuable part of the community. And I think highlighting those businesses is a great thing. It could be, you could start out with milestones. You could have a podcast that celebrates companies that are celebrating their 25th anniversary. That when they make it to 25, that you're kind of talking to especially if it's a founder, that you could, talk with them. That would be a really great inspiration story, or talking to startups, businesses that are just getting going, or businesses that have hit that 10-year mark, Yeah. I mean, there's such a closed community that there's really 1,000 people that you need to kind of get to know.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Absolutely.
It's like, but having that level of focus and that level of depth to it is going to pay off, because it's a big opportunity there,
Yes. I'm just writing kind of furiously because, I've got a big smile on my face because I've got a couple of ideas just based on exactly what you said. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Wow. Well, this has been incredible. So, I mean, I generally, I think you kind of look for some sort of a recap. Is that kind of, would that be?
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear what you heard. How we changed you here. Yeah.
Sure. So I'll try to summarize it as best I can, and I probably won't. I'll kind of go in sequence of the profit activators that we touched on, but first of all, I've got a very clear target market now, and really specializing and honing in on probably to start with the industrial condo owners who could also be renting. And then, down the road, I can expand into owner users of freestanding buildings of kind of 10 to 30,000 square feet, offering them something to start that conversation. The buyers, it could be a guide to industrial condo prices and basically taking pictures and videos of all the new developments and maybe some existing developments that would have vacancies. And then on the sell side or listing side, I can send out reports or a postcard that would then get them to respond and ask for the industrial condo prices of transactions that have taken place over the past, say, 6 or 12 months. And then educating and motivating them to have a conversation with me. I can look at doing workshops with information around financing, with information around potentially touring some of the industrial buildings. On the sell side, whether I call it a pinpoint price analysis or something maybe a little bit different, but essentially giving them some sort of a valuation and range, like a broker's opinion of value, but I would have to make it sound a little more interesting than that. And then this silent market without going out, I mean, that is like music to a lot of these guys' ears. They generally do not want to have signs up because their employees get nervous and they don't know what's going on. So that's a real hot button for them. And then obviously just, I guess, staying committed and making sure that I do these mail outs on a consistent basis, knowing that it's going to take some time to, potentially generate, the first business, but because the transaction size is so large, it's worth the investment up front.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great summary. That's a great plan.
I mean,
I can't punch any holes in it.
What's that?
I can't punch any holes in that plan at all.
Well, that's good because I think I wasn't, it wasn't me creating it. It was just more or less being a student and taking some notes. So
that's awesome. And I think you're going to, when you listen back to this, you'll hear some different things and it'll amplify your thinking on it. So that's all very exciting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, this has been tremendous.
It's been enjoyable. It's been fun. They go by so fast.
I know.
Well, I appreciate it, and I loved having the conversation. Keep me posted because I really want to, hear what comes of it, what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I'll be sure to. I mean, I think the go agents. I'm not sure if that would be kind of relevant for or something along those lines.
You know what would be? I mean, here's the thing. So yeah, Go Clients is the tool that has all of the landing pages and all of the autoresponders and the toll-free voicemail and the texting, all of those tools. The difference between Go Agent is that it's got all of my real estate programs loaded in with it. So Go Agent would probably be, there's no difference in the tool functionality, right, between Go Clients and Go Agent. I think it would be good for you to be on GoGo Agent so you can see the Getting Listings program and how all of that works out for what you're doing.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome, Shane. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean. I appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
And there we have it. Another great episode. I love it when a good plan comes together. It fits so perfectly the residential plan that we have for our realtors for getting listings. Finding people who are anytime you can be in a market maker position, finding people who are thinking of buying industrial condos and finding people who own industrial condos that they're thinking of selling and being able to put yourself as the market maker in between those and appointing yourself the curator, the purveyor of all of the information about that, educating people, adopting that category as your domain. It's awesome. So I can't wait to see what happens when Shane implements the plan. We talked about gogoagent.com as a opportunity for him for getting his CRM, the landing pages, autoresponders, all of those tools. So if you're a real estate agent or you are involved in commercial real estate, that would be a good place for you. You can get a 30-day free trial. Come on in and take a look at what's going on there at gogoagent.com. All of the tools, of course, are available at gogoclients.com, which is a really great tool set for you for all the things that you need to be a digital marketer. So I look forward to seeing you over there. If you want to continue the conversation here, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com, download a copy of the More Cheese, Less Whiskers book, and click on the Be a Guest link and join us as a guest on the podcast, and we can hatch some evil schemes for your business. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next time.